Look at your drink. You are probably drunk. Or you are about to get drunk. You probably just drink it and forget about it. But what you are doing is ancient. It is one of the oldest things a human being can do. It is older than writing. It is older than farming. It actually predates human beings entirely. Our relationship with alcohol did not start a few thousand years ago. It did not start with the invention of wine. It did not start with the first brewery. Go back 10 million years. We are on a forest floor in Africa. A small primate picks up a piece of fruit. The fruit has been sitting on the ground. It has been sitting there for too long. In 2014, a biologist named Robert Dudley published a book. He is from UC Berkeley. The book is called The Drunken Monkey. His argument is completely simple. Fruit falls from a tree. It sits on the ground. The natural sugars inside start breaking down. Yeast gets inside the fruit. Fermentation immediately begins. The fruit starts producing small amounts of ethanol. Primates ate that fruit. The ethanol inside made them feel a little drunk. They had absolutely no idea why. But it felt good. So they kept coming back for more. Over millions of years, our ancestors did not just tolerate alcohol. They actively evolved to look for it. By the time ancient humans actually showed up, the taste for it was already built in. It was there long before anyone figured out how to make it on purpose. So when did they figure it out? Fast forward to the year 2018. Archaeologists are excavating a cave. It is near Haifa, Israel. The cave is called Rashafet. It was used by a group called the Natufians. This was about 13,000 years ago. Inside, they found stone mortars. They were carved directly into the solid bedrock. They analyzed the residue left inside those mortars. They found traces of wheat. They found traces of barley. It had been soaked. It had been germinated. It had been left to ferment. That is beer, brewed in a cave, 13,000 years ago. Here is what makes that finding so important. The Natufians were not farmers. They had not invented agriculture yet. They were still collecting wild grain entirely by hand. They were still hunting animals for meat. They did not grow the barley. They found it. But somehow, making beer was incredibly important. It was important enough that they figured that out first. Think about that. Because up until this discovery, the story went exactly like this. Humans settled down. They started farming. They built villages. Then they eventually discovered fermentation. They started making drinks. Alcohol supposedly came after civilization. But Rashafet Cave says the exact opposite. These people were brewing while they were still nomadic. And they are not the only ones. About 1,000 years later, people built something enormous. It is in southeastern Turkey, a site called Göbekli Tepe, massive stone pillars, some weigh over 10 tons. They were arranged in careful circles. They were carved with images of animals. The whole structure was deliberate. It was highly complex, and it was built before farming, before pottery, before anyone in the region had a permanent home. These were still hunter-gatherers. For years, archaeologists could not explain this. Why would nomadic people organize this labor? Moving 10-ton stones up a hill is incredibly hard. Carving them with precision is hard. What would motivate that? Then they found large stone vats at the site. They tested the insides. They found chemical traces of fermented grain. People were brewing at Göbekli Tepe, not small amounts, enough for massive gatherings. The current theory is that this site was not a home. It was a gathering place, a place for ritual and feasting. People traveled from across the entire region. They came together, and they drank. This raises a massive question. It has been debated for decades. Why did humans start farming? Meet Patrick McGovern. He is an archaeobotanist. He is the leading expert on ancient alcohol in the world. He has spent decades making one argument. Humans did not start farming to make bread. They started farming to make beer. He says that bread requires grinding. It requires kneading. It requires baking. It is a highly complex process. Beer is simpler. You soak grain in water. You leave it completely alone. Fermentation happens by itself. The desire to drink would have been a massive motivator, stronger than the desire to eat grain in a slightly different form. If he is right, alcohol is not something that showed up after humans settled down. It might be the very reason they settled down in the first place. By 7000 BCE, the evidence gets extremely precise. In a Neolithic village called Jiahu in central China, archaeologists found pottery jars. They contained residue from a fermented drink. It was made of rice, it was made of honey, grapes, and hawthorn berries. Chemical analysis confirmed the ingredients. It confirmed the fermentation process. This is the oldest confirmed recipe for alcohol anywhere in the world. And it was not crude. It It was a complex blend, multiple ingredients carefully chosen and combined. Whoever made this knew exactly what they were doing. From there, it only grew. By the time ancient Egypt came around, beer was not just for fun. It was woven into absolutely everything. The workers who built the pyramids, they were paid in beer, about 4 to 5 liters a day. That was their actual salary. Not coins, not grain, but beer. And it made total sense. The water from the Nile was often contaminated. It was totally unsafe to drink straight. But beer was much cleaner because of the brewing process. It kept people alive in a way water could not. Honestly, if you were working in the desert heat and someone gave you a choice between a bag of coins or 5 liters of cold beer, what are you picking? Exactly. And on top of that, the brewing process added massive calories and nutrients. For a laborer dragging limestone blocks in the desert heat, those calories mattered. Beer was not just a drink, it was lunch. Then there was the religious side. The Egyptians believed beer was created by Osiris. They believed it was given to humans as a gift. It showed up in temple offerings. It showed up in burial rituals. It was used for medical prescriptions. Doctors would mix herbs directly into beer. They prescribed it for everything from stomach problems to infections. So, one single drink was doing the job of a paycheck, a water filter, a meal, a medicine, and a prayer, all from the exact same cup. So, here is the full picture. 10 million years ago, your ancestors were drawn to fermented fruit because it helped them find food. 13,000 years ago, they were deliberately brewing in caves before they knew how to farm. 12,000 years ago, they were possibly building the first monuments in human history just to have a place to drink together. 9,000 years ago, they had exact recipes. 5,000 years ago, entire civilizations were running on it. Alcohol did not come after we built the world we live in. There is a real possibility that it is the very reason we built it at all. Every time you have a drink, you are continuing something ancient. It started before your species had a name for itself. The process changed, the ingredients improved, the cups got fancier, but the impulse is the exact same one that made a small primate reach for a piece of overripe fruit on a forest floor 10 million years ago. We just finally learned how to make it on purpose.